slightly below the hinge, and then all the way at the very top of the sleeve and all the way at the very bottom of the sleeve.
At 90 degrees, right?
Yeah, 90 degrees off from one another.
And okay, again, a rosette weld is simply where you drill a hole and then have the weld material
Yep,
go into the hole and
yep,
bond the two pieces together through the hole.
yep,
Okay.
yep. That's exactly what it is.
So that works on an uncovered rudder.
That works
Yeah.
easily on an uncovered rudder.
Right. Yeah.
Alex's AMOC, where he's putting a full length tube in, works on a covered rudder because he's bolting it at the top and the bottom.
Okay.
So it's just a single AN3 bolt at the top and a single AN3 bolt at the bottom, but it's a full length tube, so it's a pound heavier than what I'm doing.
On an already tail heavy airplane for the Clipper, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Um, I have a question because I haven't spoken to my IA yet about it. I just looked it up last weekend, actually. I don't have a rotating beacon, and
nope,
the AD
you
talks
have the
about.
nav light.
I do, yes.
That does not count as a rotating beacon.
Nope.
Okay, so I have 5 years to
You have
figure.
Yep,
5 years.
Okay, thank you.
yep, you're over 100 horsepower
Yep.
and no rotating beacon, so you got 5 years to comply.
They never spoke about the nav light. They just kept talking about this rotating
Because
beacon.
nobody ever realized that there's a nav light on the early rudders.
Uh, okay.
The vagabonds, if they had an electrical system, the Clipper and the PA12s or the J5s, I'm not sure about the PA12s, had the yeah, the PA12 will have it too, have the nav light at the top of the rudder. And then it wasn't until the PA18 where they put the nav light in the trailing edge of the rudder.
Okay. Great. Thank you. That I kind of thought that was going to be the answer,
Yep.
but I was looking to confirm it with an IA.
Yeah, you got a Grimes Model A at the top of the tail and Grimes Model Bs at your wingtips, or at least that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have any Grimes Model Bs, so I'm actually putting the fairing that's on the PA22s on my wings and putting the regular nav lights on it.
It's yeah. Yeah, their positions the the wings are strobes also with a nav light. The back is just a
Okay,
white light.
so someone changed yours at some point in time.
Yes, the
There's,
aircraft was recovered in the early 90s, and
yeah,
lots of mods were done then. They added
yeah, because
the
the
fuel
Grimes
tank.
Model B has a little standoff and it's still the round light like what you have on the tail, but it sits at an angle on the wingtip bow with a standoff.
It's
That's what
def
was originally on there.
Yeah, no, it was the thing that I had to be worried about when I was putting my airplane on this lift that was for an aircraft with wings that were an inch and a half shorter on each side. Because the light sticks out quite
Yeah.
a bit. Thank
Hey,
you.
Steve, I had a quick question for you. I was trying to check or anybody, David or anybody. I was trying to check the corrosion on my 54, and I take it that that post doesn't go all the way through, does it? Because I
No,
tried to put in the boroscope from the top, and it only went down about 2.5 inches,
shouldn't have gone down that far.
or whatever. It was a short distance, and
Yeah,
then
the little short tube doesn't even intersect with the main tube.
No,
oh, I
It's
thought I
it's
heard you say that
further
last.
aft from the
Yeah.
main tube.
it's
You have
going.
to go up from the bottom if you want to go in with a bore scope.
Yeah.
Well, whoever covered that thing back in 1970 something, covered that up, and I'd have to open it up to stick the boroscope up there. So
Yeah, if you look at that tube that's on top, it's directly over the hinge line. It's not the rudder tube.
Yeah.
interesting. I thought you said that last time too, and I looked. I
Yeah.
thought that lined up, but maybe
And,
not.
and you can't put a tube in from the top if you were to cut away the 3/8 inch tube or whatever size it is because the top 6 inches of that rudder tube is actually swaged down so that it fares in with the tube that forms your trailing edge.
Yep. Yeah, that's a 3/8 tube.
Okay, so no problem with opening that little bit of fabric up at the bottom.
Oh
so
no, just take a knife and slice it out.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
You can slice it out. If you want to get a snap plug from the hardware store to put back in there when you're done, you can stick it in there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions or thoughts about the rudder AD?
Yeah, just to muddy the waters on Tom's AMOC, I got a price from a steel supplier on centerless ground 7/8 tube, but with a 83 thou wall, and it was about $12 a foot. I don't know if that helps in any decision making, but I was bored at work and decided to get some quotes.
Well, that's not a killer.
No.
Yeah, that was for 100 feet with the warehouse doing the centerless grinding in the full bar.
Where'd you
That
get,
little
where'd you-
tube-
whereabouts did you get that quote?
Company was called Murphy Nolan, and I think they're in New York somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Well, of course, we're all
My
going to be
tubing
buying
from the
3
chassis
feet, so it's
shop.
going to be more expensive.
Murphy and Nolan's in Syracuse.
Okay.
Those of you that weren't on 2 weeks ago, the idea was if the AMOC that Steve and Tom are working on goes forward, that maybe we do some kind of a group buy to get that material bought and even do some, do some seed money up front, or if we need to or whatever. So yeah, Melissa, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying I was not on 2 weeks ago, and I wrote to you and said, is there any way you can send me the recording? Because the timing didn't work out for me, but that's great to
Did
hear.
I send you? Did I not send it to you?
No worries. No worries. But this
Because I
is,
still have it. And if you just email me, maybe I don't know. I'm surprised I missed it. I apologize. And I don't know if you noticed, but I completely dropped the ball and forgot to record the first.
I did see that you started it. Yeah.
Sorry, I blew it. Yeah, fire me. I missed the first 45 minutes of it. But yeah, I've got the. Please, I'm begging you because
I'll write to you again. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
I'm looking at pictures of my plane, and I don't see that I have that little tube at the very top on
A
the
lot
rudder.
of rudders don't have it. They've been cut off over the years.
Okay.
And just to note, I bought 3/4 049, 44 inches of it, and my total bill with shipping, which is where everyone gets you, from Online Metals was $50 and change. I think Aircraft Spruce hit you for $50 just for the shipping.
So they charge you more for the shipping than they did the actual product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Online Metals was the cheapest. I priced it at Chassis Shop, Aircraft Spruce, Online Metals, and I think Wix.
Did you try McMaster Car?
I didn't try McMaster Car. Online Metals was the only one that would do a 44-inch section to save you on the UPS shipping rather than a 4-foot section.
Yeah.
And 44 inches is what I need? Because I think you said you're doing it for a clipper too, correct?
14 inches.
Nope, Dave, you're blocked. You're muted.
You may have to type
There we
it if
go.
he's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm only going to use 14 inches of it, but I bought 44 inches. So I'm going to use the rest of it to slide the piece up into the rudder.
Got it. Yep. Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And like I say, I'm going to use a 10
But
gauge
you're doing the
shotgun.
rosette weld. I'm going to
Yes.
do bolt, so I'm going to need more.
You'll probably need the 44. I
Right.
think it's only like about 38 inches that you actually need.
Okay,
But
great.
go out and measure your rudder just to be sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and you measure it from the taper where that top of the tube is not squeezed down anymore. From that point down to the bottom, leaving room for your steering arm. You're going to have to go in and ream the inside of that to be able to put a steering arm up in there, or
No.
cut it off and use your existing. But when you use your existing um, tube down at the bottom for the steering arm, you're going to wind up deforming that tube by 20 thousandths on the side when you put that bolt through and tighten down on the steering arm.
Yeah, I would say read Alex's AMOC if that's the one you're going to use, so you follow the way he says to do it.
Okay, could
Yes.
you possibly put a link into the chat for that for me? Because again, I wasn't here the last time.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that AMOC is posted. I think he posted it on the ShortWing Pipers Facebook site.
I don't do
Yeah,
Don't
I
do
haven't put it in
Facebook.
the maintenance data depot yet. I know that.
Okay, but you will do that?
I will be doing that.
Okay,
Well,
great.
yeah, it'll be on the website somewhere. We're working on a new website, and so whether I do it before or after we switch to that new website.
That's okay. I was relieved when you said my position light didn't count as a rotating beacon because it was either 2 years or 5 years. So
You got 5 years.
I'll get it. Yeah, I'll get it. Thank you.
All right. A couple more things. First of all, one or two folks mentioned right at the very, very beginning of the call that they had a question. Jerry, you had a question about, I don't know, we got to admire Jerry because it's like 1:30 in the morning in Ireland, so we probably ought to ask him to talk. I probably should have done that an hour ago. Sorry, man. But did you have something specific you wanted to ask the group about? I can't remember. It was tailwheel. I can't remember.
No, 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 I don't think so. I'm just listening here, interested in everything that's going on. So, continue on.
I'm sorry, Jerry. Then I swore someone had a question they wanted to ask the group.
Yeah, somebody did say something about tailwheel.
So I'm not crazy, Melissa. Can I get that
No.
in writing if you don't mind sending that documentation?
Yeah, I like to say this all the time. Just because you got that question wrong does not mean you're not crazy.
Okay.
You can still be crazy. It just
No, I'm the crazy one. This is Merrick. I asked about a tail wheel, so I've heard some people don't like tail wheels from malls. My Clipper has a mall TW102, which I have recently taken off. So, am I looking for problems, or I mean, I'm just kind of guessing.
I have that same mall tailwheel. I love it.
The only reason Mall started making airplanes was to get rid of all those tail wheels.
Okay, I've got one of them.
I did beef up the springs. I can't remember again, we're going back 15 years, but I did beef up the springs. I put different springs on it. And that made a huge difference. The other
steering
thing
springs or the tailwheel spring?
the steering springs.
Okay.
Well, I also changed the tailwheel springs too because they were too flat.
Yeah. Tailwheel springs are the biggest problem that everyone has. They end up being too flat.
Right.
When your airplane is sitting there, you want to be sure that the axle of rotation of the steering is so that the top of it is farther aft than the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have good caster.
Yeah, so you've got even caster.
I replaced all the tail springs and the tail wheel steering springs, and it made inflation. The tire inflation makes a big difference too.
Hmm.
Those are the three things that I have done, and it's just amazing how much of a
And,
difference it made.
and unless you're operating on very soft material,
Which I am.
don't go to an 8-inch tail wheel. Stick with the 6-inch tail wheel.
And I'm even on the soft stuff, and I still have them all, and
Yeah.
it's worked great for me.
Well, I've still got the original Scott 2000 tail wheel on
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah, I started with them all and I loved it. And then when we restored the Clipper, my husband talked me into getting the Scott 2000. And I love both of them, actually.
Hmm.
They're both
Mall's
decent
not,
tail wheels. They're both hard to find parts for. API tail wheels are fine. Recognize that tail wheels, unlike main gear wheels and tires, there is no TSO for tail wheels. So you can put any tail wheel on there that you want, and it's a minor alteration.
The mall, I've had no problems getting parts for.
Yeah.
I've
mall,
replaced
mall
all
parts are
kinds of stuff
easy
in
and
it.
mall parts are inexpensive and they're easy to find. The thing you have to
Yeah.
watch for the mall, and I've seen more than one airplane get wrecked because of this, is the little
Pins.
what do you want to call it? The pawl that locks the tail wheel will
Yeah.
start to get rounded on the edges,
Right.
and then all of a
And
sudden
it'll let
it's
loose
not
on
locking.
you,
You'll
and
get in a
away you
crosswind.
go.
You get in a crosswind or something, and the thing will unlock, and away you go. So you just got to keep after that little pawl that locks it centered. And other than that, they're a great tail wheel, I think. So
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah,
Melissa,
thanks.
this is Jim Wood. While you guys were talking tail wheel, guess I have a tricycle. I found at least the general summary of the Alex's AMOC, so I posted it in the chat box for
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you.
That's the best I could do in 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
It's also on the club Facebook page.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I'm
I was
not on
thinking.
Facebook, so that doesn't help me.
Yeah,
That's why.
wise person. Uh,
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can figure out how to download that.
Yeah, you're on the
Download. I even clicked it and it said download. I got it. Thank you.
Technology will never cease.
Oh
We are
man,
both- we are
dude, thank
both
you so
hip and
much.
hip and happening both. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, here I got one for you guys if you want to stick around for another few minutes.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Great. Well, so the rudder AD kind of got me thinking. Say what you will about it. We do have 70-plus-year-old airframes, and so I was kind of thinking about, okay, well, what can I reinforce? On my 51, PA-20, and kind of got thinking about the landing gear a little bit. And I was curious if anyone out there's kind of looked into upgrading the landing gear. I see a lot of like P-18 style landing gear with the shocks and all that. Have you guys looked into that? Is that worth doing? Because I'm sure 70 years worth of landings on what I got, there's got to be some fatigue on there. And so anyways, just think about it.
The biggest thing that has fatigue are those bungees. And I have changed bungees twice on my airplane. And what a difference it makes. That to me has made a huge difference. Is just staying up on bungees. I've changed mine at like almost instantly, and then I changed them about 5 years ago. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, recognize that the PA-20 also has the hydrosorb, which the PA-16 doesn't.
Okay.
You've got an early PA-20. Do you still have the narrow gear on it, or was it upgraded to the wide gear?
It's still the narrow gear.
Okay, so you're using, what is it, 1360 or 1390 bungees on it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
single bungee.
Yeah, it's just a single bungee on each side. And the hydrosorb is actually the same. It's just the end fitting that's different on it.
Yep.
The thing to watch for on all of these landing gear is if you ever had wheel pants on it, the original Piper bracket for the wheel pants, they actually drilled a hole in the tube to locate the bracket. And if you take the bracket off, now you've got about a 1/4 inch hole or an 1/8 inch hole in your landing gear that all the moisture and dirt and everything else is going to get in there, and the bottom of your landing gear leg is going to rot out. I've got that on both of my gear legs. So I'm actually cutting the tubes out of the gear legs and welding in new tubes. On the PA16, the aft tube on the gear leg is only 035 wall. And on the PA20, it's 049. So I'm increasing the wall thickness on mine to the 049. As far as other things that you can do on your gear, if you look on a lot of the pictures of Pacers up in Alaska, Eddie Trimmer was putting a tube from your diagonal tube halfway down and then across to your aft tube, just to provide additional support for the diagonal tube. Because if you're on skis, the twisting moment of the skis will cause that diagonal tube or the aft tube to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only real upgrade that I've seen on original gear legs. Now, Eddie Trimmer also has an STC to put Super Cub gear legs on, but that involves a lot of welding. You've got to put new cross members in up towards about midway between where your existing front gear fittings are, so that you between that and the firewall, you got to put a new cross member in there and then put new fittings on that so you can put the Super Cub gear on. And then also that STC then uses cut down mall diagonal struts with the oleos on them. So it's a pretty invasive modification. And the mall axles are expensive, and the Super Cub gear legs are expensive. So, you know, how much money do you want to spend versus look close at your gear legs and make sure you don't have corrosion in them.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. We in the last year, we've had 3 gear legs fail.
Yeah.
One of them was on skis. Now remember, your tire is part of your suspension. You take the tire off, you put skis on, you're putting a load on your suspension, on your landing gear that it doesn't normally see. It broke. That gear broke up at the top where the hydrosorb attaches. When it broke, over half of the diameter of the tube was rusted, meaning that crack has been, it's been missed on inspections. It finally let go when it was on skis. That was one. The other one was on a converted tri-pacer, you know, a PA 2220 with these ginormous Tundra tires, and the guy looked like he was landing on a riprap. These, you know, 6-inch, 7-inch boulders that he's landing in with these great big tires, and he broke it down at the axle. Again, the tube was partially rusted. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like it was a good landing gear. It had previous damage, previous crack that was never detected. The third one was a stock tri-pacer. No modifications, no anything. But it broke. Unfortunately, it broke at the top, up by where the hydrosorb attaches. So the gear went out flat, wingtip hit the ground. Thank God it was a tri-pacer. The prop didn't hit the runway, but still, you know, it did a lot of damage to the airplane. So I didn't get to see any pictures or that landing gear, so I don't know if that had previous damage or not, but it broke up at the top. So look at your landing gear. You know, if it's crud in there, get a toothbrush and clean it out. Look at it and make sure there are no cracks in there. Because You know, I guarantee you, if we have many more, the FAA is going to have a new AD.
An ice pick is your friend during that inspection.
Yes. Look at it. Look at it. If you find a crack, fix it. But you know, if we let them go and they break, the FAA is going to have a new AD for us.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's exactly what got me kind of thinking about. It's like if there's any one place that sees loads over and over again, it's the landing gear, and our birds are old, and so that's we already had the landing gear on the struts, on the wing struts, right? So
Yep.
that's a great structural improvement. What next? I think the gear is definitely the place to look. So I appreciate your all's advice. I'll report back in the next couple of weeks and see what I find.
Look at it carefully.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Obviously, your doorposts as well.
Yeah.
SP 819, you want to do that anytime you're recovering the airplane.
Hey, David, a second ago you said something was your friend, and it was a little garbled.
An ice pick.
Ice pick. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Take an ice pick and pound on the thing with the ice pick. If the ice pick leaves a dent, you got a problem.
All right, cool. All right.
How do you do this landing gear inspection again? What's the best way to do it?
First off, clean it real well. If you've got fabric on your gear legs, you might want to trim the fabric off so you've got about an inch above where the cluster is, where your two gear leg tubes come down to your axle, so that you can actually see where the welds are for that cluster. And then take an ice pick and probe it. If the ice pick leaves a dent, you have a problem. And when I say probe it, I mean put some pressure on it. Don't just touch it. Take the ice pick and actually jab it in there all around the tube. And if it leaves a dent, you've got a problem. Obviously, after you hit it with the ice pick, you're going to scrape paint away. So you're going to want to touch that paint up so that you protect it.
Okay, I got another unrelated question. When the fellow restored and recovered my plane, I got it off of him. He left out the auxiliary fuel tank, but he still has the auxiliary fuel tank he's given to me, the little pump and stuff. How difficult is it possible to install the auxiliary tank with the airplane covered? Can you just cut away a little fabric and how do you go about putting that in there?
It's possible.
What is it covered
Not
with?
the easiest thing in the world, but it is
Polyfiber.
It's easy. Well, what's it painted with?
Is
it aerothane or polytone?
It's polytone.
Oh,
then it's easy. Very easy to repair that. Personally, unless you really need that extra 8.5 gallons, I wouldn't worry about it. Next time you recover your wings, put Dakota Cub tanks in.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing on my Clipper. I'm putting a Dakota Cub 24-gallon tank in the left-hand wing. I may put one in the right wing and take the nose tank out, but as of right now, I'm only working on the left wing, so.
Before you do that, decide just how much your bladder can hold.
Yeah.
For me, I figure 2.5, 3 hours is.
Me too.
But if I'm going somewhere further away, I'm taking the thing that's in my picture there.
There you go. All right, folks, we got like 5 minutes left. A couple things I wanted to do to kind of wrap things up, if that's okay. First of all, I'm looking to see if Gene and Andy are still on, and thank them again for talking about the convention. And thanks everybody for your expertise. Holy cow, this was phenomenal. A couple things in the chat box just to highlight. Scott Sellers had posted a article that's on the Piper's Magazine. So if you want to download that, there's you can check that out in the April 2025 Piper's Magazine. So that link is in the chat box. Also, Scott mentioned that he just booked a Fairfield Inn for the convention. And we also had another comment in there that the Fairfield Inn is a pretty decent place to stay. So you may want to check that out. I also posted in the chat window or chat box or whatever you want to call it, my email address so that if you want a recording from last 2 weeks ago's meeting or to a third of tonight's, sorry again, just shoot me an email. I haven't figured out how we're going to do the recordings. Like the Comanche group has a great website and all that where they post their recordings, but they also pay like $4,000 a year. And right now I'm paying all this out of my pocket and I'm not so sure I'm willing to do that. So I'm just uploading it to a Dropbox link. So I'll send you the Dropbox link. So we got that. And then the only other thing I was going to ask is, like I mentioned, that we have a poll that I just wanted to get a feel from you guys on what you'd like to talk about over the next few weeks or few sessions. So should be able to see it on your screen. You can vote as many as you want. And if you haven't, the last one was other. And if you have an idea, if you'd post that in the chat box as well. Like I say, I don't want this to be all me because I'll goof it up. So if you could take a minute or two before we button things up to just say, hey, this sounds like something you'd be interested in.
Jim, what is this costing you?
Oh, it's not much so far. I think it's $175 for a year of the professional Zoom account. So it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay. We might be able, I don't know if on this new site, we'll be able to post videos or not.
Well, I have like I said, I have that pretty good sized Dropbox account that I've had for years. So I think I can handle a few more videos, but yeah, maybe with the new website we can see. I think Zoom charges $10 a month to host a bunch of Zoom video recordings, I should say. So if it starts getting unwielding, I'll try that if the website doesn't work.
Well, Jim, we'll look at getting the club to fund this.
Yeah, well, that was my deal, Steve, was I pony it up to give back to the club a little bit. So,
Yeah, we'll have a board meeting at the convention and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Any other one last deal I think I mentioned last time, and I want to keep saying this and remember to say this is if there's anything you'd like me to do different, stop doing or continue doing, or please reach out to me and email me. My email's, like I said, in the chat box. It's also in the ShortWing news. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep if you say that I mumble or, my old man used to say that, mumble louder because he couldn't hear me. So whatever, yeah, let me know any feedback. I'd love to hear. So I promised you we'd end right at the top of the hour. So there we are. So thanks everybody for joining. I'll hang on for a little while longer if you'd like. But thanks everybody for joining. We'll do it. I posted, you saw I mentioned it several times. It'll be the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. I know this is the fifth Wednesday, but it just happened to work out real nicely. So it's every other week. So we'll just do second and fourth Wednesdays going forward.
That works.
All right. Thanks everybody.
All right, Bob, give me a shout.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. This is fun.
All right,
Great meeting.
Thanks, Jim.
All right,
Jim.
you're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Melissa,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I put that PDF out there. I think it's out there for everybody real quick. If you want to download it real quick.
PDF.
It's a file there, just says ShortWing Hyper International or something like that.
I think I did just download it. Yes, I did. It says I clicked on it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's see, leave. There we go. Leave.
Wait a minute. No, I downloaded the other thing. Ugh. Hell.
No, it's
Yeah. Wait a minute. So that was from Bob. Oh, I'm so slow at this stuff.
no worries.
Oh man, I can't even believe I didn't think of writing in the poll the rudder AD, Melissa.
Yeah.
The big elephant in the room. You want to talk about that? Is that what you're saying?
No, well, just to continue, keep
Sure.
it going. All right, Scott. Scott, you said the TriPacer article PDF? Oh heck.
Yeah,
Yes, I did. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's the one. All right, let me download that. TriPacer article, save. Okay, I got it. Here's the article from April Pipels. Yes, thank you. All right. I am so not a geek in this shit. Okay, I think I got it all. Thanks, guys. This was really great.
Well, you're welcome. That was fun. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, and so I guess it'll be well, the second and fourth. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I should have looked at the calendar to tell you. It's the 14th.
14th. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so long. I don't know if Jerry's still on, but I sure appreciate him calling from the 12:30 a.m. That was pretty awesome. All right.
Yes, Jim, thank you for doing this. I think it's going to be a huge addition to our club. It just seems like we've it's kind of got a little flat there, it seems like, to getting people involved, and I think this will be huge.
I hope so, Ian. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Cool.
It's a real big help for the Comanche community, for the Comanche Zooms. So hopefully this will do the same for the TriPacers and the rest of the ShortWings.
Yeah, that's the intent, David. And believe me, I am no CJ Stumpf. I know that.
Yeah.
She is such a superstar.
You know, every organization, there are personalities.
Yeah.
And even within the Comanche community, there's a lot of people that don't like CJ.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But she gets everyone to rally around and you know, love her or hate her, she's keeping an organization going.
Yeah.
And you know, the ShortWing Club, I've known Steve for years. He used to work down by where I work. We were in the same QB hangar and everything else. I've talked to Tom on and off for years, and I've never been real active in the ShortWing Club. I was a member back in the 80s when I had my TriPacer. In fact, I had a PA 22 160 that I used to use for banner towing.
Oh.
And,
Cool.
it was the ugliest thing. It was faded red that turned to pink, and it was metallized. But boy, it did a good job. It was one of the best airplanes I've ever owned. It never let me down. It just kept running and running. But boy, it was ugly.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, Jim, this is Scott. We do similar stuff in the Cessna group to this, but we also have like vendor experts present to us and all that type. You can take this as far as you want, and then we post it all on a YouTube channel for people to watch that couldn't attend.
Oh, I didn't think of posted it on a YouTube channel. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we like when the Lycoming rod bushing AD came out last year, we had the guy who runs Poplar Grove Aeromotives, their head technical guy, talk about it and recorded that. You can see it on that. I just put the link in the chat. So
okay, cool.
Just some thoughts for you.
Yeah, I've seen the Comanche group's done a lot of they'll have
we do a lot of vendor stuff in the Comanche group. The other thing we do that you might consider when you have formal presentations is do wings credit for them.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yep.
And that's advantageous because if you do wings credit and you get the people that are involved to actually participate in the wings program, there's a lot of insurance companies that'll give you a little bit of a discount if you've got wings credit. And the other side of it, God forbid you be on the wrong side of the FAA. If they look and see that you participate in wings, it may be the difference between a letter of investigation and a call to come into the office and get your wrist slapped.
Yeah.
And that could make a big difference.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that, David. I'm actually a fast team representative here in the Denver.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I am here in Baltimore as well.
So I was going to do that.
You know, the biggest problem that we have with the Comanche group is trying to organize the presentations at least 2 weeks in advance to get it into spans.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the hardest thing is finding the time to get the organization to have your presentation set up, several weeks in advance so that you can put the stuff into the FAA safety website so that it can go out there to the public, or if you choose to do it just private, you can do it just private.
Right.
But at least you get Wings credit out of it, and there are advantages to that Wings credit or AMT credit if it's maintenance related thing and you've got a lot of mechanics that are on.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like there are a few.
There are, yeah. Shoot, I didn't even think of that for last one. We could have done that. We talked almost a whole hour on rudder AD. That could have been AMT.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of it.
Yeah. So, things to keep in mind. Anything volunteer, it's always hard. I give you a lot of credit. I posted in there. I don't know how often I'll get to sit in on this because I'm usually on the Comanche Zooms because I'm one of the people that tries to help set stuff up for that. But my wife's away this week, so I figured, well, it's good time to sit in on this one.
All right, good. Yeah, good.
Quick question, Jim.
Yes, sir.
That if you get a chance at the next time to ask, is I'm doing a lot of work right now trying to take this maintenance data depot thing that's on our website and move it over to the new website. What I'm interested in finding out is, do people use it? Is it of value to anybody?
Okay.
I use it a lot, Tom.
Hey, Tom, I want to say thank you for doing that because there have been questions. When I was working on Scott Nauman's Tri-Pacer, it wasn't finished on the 337. I think I even called you about that on the heated pitot, and I ended up finding the STC information and 337
Yeah,
on
I've
there.
got copies of that 337 or that STC if anyone needs that. But the maintenance depot comes in handy, and the one thing that needs to be on that, and the one thing that I keep pushing for the Comanches is to get copies of all the various flight manuals and post them on there. Because 80% of the airplanes flying around out there are missing their flight manuals, and that's a required piece of equipment. So if you've got copies of the various flight manuals on the maintenance depot, if someone loses theirs or they don't have it, they can just download it and then put their aircraft information on it and they're good to go. But, anytime, that's one of the things that I check for whenever I do an annual inspection. If someone doesn't have their flight manual, they aren't getting an airworthy inspection. They're getting an inspection with discrepancies.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that STC.
Matter of fact, I think I have at least some of the flight manuals.
Yeah, you do have some of them. I think the 22-160 was missing, and if you don't have it, I've got the 20-115 and I've got the PA-16. If you need them, I don't recall whether you have them or not.
I'm not sure. I'm
And the 21-15, that's an oddball. There was only about half a dozen airplanes that were built, so not a lot of call for that. But the rest of them, it's like pulling teeth you tell someone you need your flight manual, and they say, "Well, isn't this it?" And they show you their owner's handbook, and the owner's handbook is not the legal document. That doesn't have to be in the airplane, but the flight manual does.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have all of them. I'm sure I don't.
But with a group like this, that's a good call to say, hey, anybody who has this flight manual, could you send me a copy of it?
Yep. Yep.
Well, we really do appreciate all the information on the Short Wing Piper's maintenance depot because there's a lot of good information in there.
I'd be interested in that in the heated pitot STC docks if are they also in that maintenance depot?
Say that again. Which document?
The heated POSTC.
Heated pitot STC.
There is, but there is one heated pitot tube STC that was issued, and then the guy made it public domain. Try and get something public domain out of the FAA. It was pulling teeth. I finally got a hold of the New York ACO, and I wound up threatening him with a FISA request in order to get it. But I did get them to send me all of the data. They won't use it to issue a field approval or a STC. But again, the data is good for a field approval. But the STC,
well, you can use the STC as well. I'm looking at it right here. I'm trying to find the number on it. It's an oddball number. What the heck is it? SA4 dash or
Hold on. Let me get something right with
26, I think it is. See if I can find a better copy of it.
When I went after
Say that number again, please. What was the number for the heated pitot STC?
I'll tell you in just a second because I've got it on my 337. SA1-386, dated 9/10/1959.
And I think that's the one I have all the drawings and have all of the information for.
And you can use that without a letter authorizing it because the STC was issued before that requirement was in the regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I had to do it as a field approval because I'm putting it on a PA-16.
Well, our challenges are wondering how we're going to run the wire out in the wing. That looks like a difficult project.
Get a fish tape. Go to your local hardware store.
Well, I wish it were that easy.
Actually, go to not Home Depot, but Harbor Freight. They've got fiberglass rods that screw together that you can slide in there. But you got to take your fuel tank cover off to get in to do it.
Yeah.
I think the fuel tank might have to come out. I mean, I don't know. It looks
I've done it just with the fuel tank in it, but it's not easy.
What you might consider doing is when you run the wires through, run them through some Tygon tubing out there to protect them from rubbing on the ribs because you can't get in there to really tie it down too much. And if you put it in some Tygon tubing, you'll protect the wiring, at least coming out to a heated pitot tube.
That's what I had to do on the Twin Comanche for my tip strobes. I put sky beacon and sky sensor on it, and there was no wires for the strobes. and I wanted to segregate the strobe light from the nav light. So I ended up running Tygon tubes through the wing and into the gear well so that I couldn't get to the individual ribs to put bushings or anything in, or, tie it down with Adel clamps. So I just put tubing in and then ran the wires through the tubing.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. We've been running a bunch of wires from the tail under the belly. That's a pain in the butt too, but at least it's possible.
Yeah, the thing with the heated pitot system, the drawing for the bracket is incorrect. So you're going to have to redesign the bracket for your wing to try and match the holes that are in your spar. And actually doing it on a covered wing is going to be hard because you have to put nuts and screws through the spar, and you actually have to remove the leading edge in that section where you're doing it.
Yeah,
So that's going to be the hard part.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think I'm going to button up the meeting here.
Yeah. Have a good night, folks.
Hey,
Good
thank
talking
you
to everyone.
so much.
Thanks.
Guys.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much, guys. All right.
Great
We'll see you
job,
next
Jim.
time. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, Scott. We'll see you.